Hey, great. I'll be happy to share a little bit about how Storytell works, and then we're going to jump into a demo. So I did a little drawing for everybody this morning, and let me pull that up and I will describe that. Erica, it should be true that as I'm doing this, you may be able to see questions coming in, and you
Mhm.
should be able to answer them as they're coming in. So if you have any questions about what I'm sharing, feel free to ask them, and either Erica will answer them while I'm sharing or I will answer them afterwards. And then we'll also have live Q&A after. Okay, so how does Storytell work? Step one is that you upload your messy and unstructured content into Storytell. So this can be things like PDFs, it can be text files, it can be Zoom transcripts, it might be XML files, which, by the way, CSV or Excel XLS files can be converted into XML. We have some instructions on doing that. That one was for you, Nick, who's on this call and asked for that, wanting to work with a lot of CSV files, a lot of data files. It could be MP3 files, audio files. It could be, that's like podcasts. It could be videos. These videos could be Zoom videos. It could be a zip file of all of the above or a mixture of them and more, JSON files, etc. So I think the important thing to understand about getting content into Storytell is it can be kind of like a messy house. You don't have to curate it, just dump it all in, throw it all in. That's kind of the beauty of it, is you can start to load all of your content in without having to think about the structure of it. And we're actually going to show this to you in a minute. Then you can also use our Chrome extension. In our Chrome extension, I will put in the chat here if you want to download it now while we are talking. It's right here. When you download and install our Chrome extension and you open it up on any piece of content that it runs on, let's say like a YouTube video or a web page, a blog, an article, a dense academic paper, an annual report, anything, it will do a couple of things. The first thing is that it will give you a summary in real time. And you can see there's some chicken scratch drawn footnotes here. We call these story tiles. I'll tell you more about these in a minute. But it doesn't just give you a summary of the content. It also puts it into your Storytell platform for you to leverage later. And so that's another way to get content into Storytell, is just to open up the Chrome extension, browse the content that you want to work with, and you will have access to it. Okay. Then the next thing that we do is we split this messy content into what we call story tiles. And so what is a story tile? We have a proprietary AI algorithm called Mercury. And what Mercury does is it looks at the concepts that are discussed in this long form, unstructured content, and it breaks them up. Think of each story tile as like a nugget of information. And so, as an example, in this PDF, it's a long PDF. Let's say it's Amazon's annual report, and we create a story tile out of the first sentence or a couple of sentences. However long that concept is, we'll turn it into a story tile, and then we make another story tile number two out of some of the other content, and another story tile out of number three, etc. And we do that for the PDF. We do that for the audio files. We take the different concepts that are discussed and we break them into story tiles. We do that for the video files. You can see this is a story about a person that was going on a trip to a big city here. And so we've made three different story tiles out of this MP4. We can do it for data, for your XML file. So the idea here is that we're turning your unstructured data into this big structured database. And what we do with that is organize and score each story tile. And my representation of that here is, let's imagine from that PDF, you've got story tile number one. And we put some metadata on that. So here's the original concept, that little snippet from above. So that little snippet is, let's say, this bit right here from the PDF. And we put some metadata around that. So when did it happen and where did it happen? We make it a summary of it. We use our large language model to summarize that concept. And then we do that for everything that you've uploaded. Your MP4, here's a little snippet of that video. You've got the minute and 37 seconds of the 90-minute Zoom call that you did. It was a sales training call. And before, the kind of smallest atomic unit of that training call was 90 minutes. Now it's, this one storytell for this one concept. And then we score what we call storytell affinity. How alike are all of these different storytells to each other? So maybe this PDF and this bit of the Zoom meeting are 49% similar, or this Storytell from the Zoom meeting or the YouTube video is 97% similar from this data from the CSV. And you can start to imagine it might have been, let's say, the customer success lead that loaded in a CSV of all your ServiceNow or your Salesforce records. And it might be the salesperson that was on a call in your company with a prospect. And we can see that those two things are very similar to each other, even though they happen in completely different departments at completely different times. And so what this allows us to do is then create these dynamic data containers that we call smart chats. And again, we're going to show you all this, and in fact, let you do this yourself. But a smart chat, think of it as a boundary from all of the content. Let's just imagine you've got this big database inside Storytell of all of these storytells from all this content that you've uploaded, and you say, I want to create a small container of just all the user interactions that have happened at my company. And so we look for all the storytells that are related to that, and you can either tag it yourself or we can auto label it for you. It's up to you. You can make your own smart chat container. We also do it. And then you can start to chat with it. Why do our users love us? And we'll return the answer back to you as a table or as a paragraph or as a haiku or a poem or a blog post or an executive summary, whatever you ask for. And importantly, we link to the specific storytells as source material. And so you now can start to leverage all your unstructured content in really exciting ways. Okay, so that is how Storytell works. Erica, is there anything you'd like to add to this comic strip drawing that I've done about Storytell before we the user?
Well, I like that you said comic strip here because, Sarah, for instance, you're asking like, oh, are storytells kind of like chapters? And I think that is a great way of thinking of it. And for instance, there's those mosaics that I'm sure we've all seen of art that's made of a photograph made of tons of tiny photos, like a portrait, etc. And that's actually been done with Charles Schulz, the Peanuts cartoonist, and taking all like thousands of comic strips to create a whole drawing. And so it's like you're zooming in to the smallest layer or interface, or it's like nugget essentially of that larger whole.
Yeah, this is what Erica is referring to from the Charles Schulz Museum. You can think of each storytile as one little bit of the comic strip, and here's the the Zoom meeting writ large. So
and I'll scroll away so you don't lose your breakfast.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so please keep asking questions. Jason, I see you asking some questions about prompting. We're going to get deep into prompting today. Let me just start by sharing. There are a lot of use cases for Storytell. If you're a product manager, you can load in all your past customer conversations and you can chat with your customers through Storytell. So imagine making a smart chat container for each customer. You make a bigger container. This is like Tupperware, right? You've got one big container for all your customers, and then you can start chatting with all your customers. What do you love most about our product? What do you love least? And Storytell is returning results. If you have complex knowledge you need to explain in simple terms, you can use Storytell to do that. Explain this to me like I'm 5, this dense academic paper. If you are a talent team, you can upload 100 resumes for a job and then upload your job description and ask which candidate is best suited for this job. There's just so much that we can do with Storytell. The specific example that we're going